Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. We've just heard the presentation of Vice Minister Dardziński from the Ministry of Higher Education. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Now we'll be able to discuss the main points of the presentation, but not only. We'll discuss more broadly the issue of the reform of the higher educational system in Poland. First, I would like to turn to Professor Górniak, who is an advisor to the Minister of Higher Education, who was closely cooperating with other entities on the reform of the higher educational system. Could you give us a little bit more background to the reform? It's hotly debated in Poland, and would you be so kind and refer also to the idea of practical PhD?
Okay, it's hard to add something more to the to this kind of PhD, except that it's the real PhD. I mean, it has to achieve all the standards which has a PhD, but the difference has been defined by the minister, is the strong cooperation between business and university. But about reform, actually the reform is to achieve the three basic goals of the government strategy. I mean, it is excellence in research, excellence in teaching, and social responsibility of the universities, which means that the universities have to raise their image in the society, image of the science as a driving force of economic development, social development, and general wealth. So we are unsatisfied with the position of Polish universities on the world ranking lists, and the reform has to change the governance of the universities, give the universities more autonomy in achieving these excellence targets. Plus, we have to have, in fact, a league of research-intensive universities which can better compete with the international environment, should be more visible internationally than the Polish universities are now. The more autonomy means that the universities will have the whole power to define internal structure, which has been defined in the law until now, but they will take more responsibility for how they will be organized, managed, and there will be changes which should raise the level of PhD education and also strengthen the importance of habilitation, however restricting it only to this part of staff which will have aspirations to promote new doctors. What is unique, and it's worth to inform the audience about it, is the huge participatory process in which the whole reform is being prepared. Beginning from September last year, every month we have big conferences of the academia discussing particular issues related to reform, and in September in this room there will be a big congress of science in Poland where the new law will be shown, and the consultation of particular articles will begin. After a further process of consultation of particular norms, the law will go to the parliamentary approval, and we hope that in the year 1918, from the 1st of October, we will start implementation of the new law and new wave of educational and scientific policy.
Thank you. Mr. Dardziński have said that these are two different worlds, the world of the scientists and the world of the business entities, right? And that they speak two different languages. But it's important to bring them together. And there are countries and universities that are working very closely with the business entities, and they are achieving the goal that we want to achieve. Joseph, Jeong have studied at MIT. you've seen how the best universities in the United States are doing that. Could you give us some more insight?
Yes, well, I studied in a particular program at MIT, which is actually called MIT-X, and it's the entrepreneurship program that they're using basically to innovate their own, the way that they teach, okay? And it's a very good program for this example because it actually uses their online program to recruit real people to the school to attend a program there. And so it's really kind of giving away the education for free, but saying that, what are you gonna do with this education, right? Are people actually using this to good use and creating something wonderful? And if you are, and if you really have those aspirations of doing great things with the education that we're giving to you for free, then you can come together and work together in a group setting in our campus and be able to do that. And so it's really, putting together the online aspect and the offline aspect and putting that together.
We are also very fortunate to have Kathleen with us. She works for the U.S. Agency for Environmental Protection. And Kathleen is working closely with the scientists at the agency. The idea is to bring science and to help deal with the environmental issues. She's also here on the mission with the U.S. Embassy, coming to Poland to help the scientists and the universities to establish the right track to cooperate to make the cooperation happen between the scientists and the business world. Could you tell us about your experience from United States and what we can learn from United States here in Poland?
Well, I think one thing that really benefits us as U.S. government agencies is we're able to use laws that are in place that not only encourage, but in fact compel research agencies to collaborate with outside parties, such as university researchers or businesses, on specific research projects. And additionally, they allow the federal agencies to patent technologies that are developed during the course of research. So once we patent those technologies, we license them out to companies in exchange for profits. So the government agencies take the profits back in, they share them with the individual researchers who were critical in the invention process. And so there's a real vested interest from the scientist standpoint in participating in this type of commercialization process. I think there's also a lot of universities that are doing things that are really novel as well. I mean, they're not as restricted as some of our government agencies are in this regard, but they have programs in place where they can provide grants to small businesses who take technologies that have been developed at universities and turn them into companies, and they have milestones along the way to ensure that they're making progress, but it's just another avenue for commercializing what's coming out of public funding.
Another issue when we speak about the cooperation between the scientists and the business world is who is going to profit from that cooperation. Mr. Morawiecki this morning have said that the ideal is that everyone profits from that cooperation. So not only the authors, not only the venture funds that are going to buy the products or the innovative outcomes of their research, but also the society. In Polish case, this is the Polish state that finances the educational system, right? So the research is done by the public money coming from the taxes. So we would like to see the return to the Polish state in some way, right? So that the society profits from it, so the state profits from it. Can we ensure that this is going to happen? Maybe I would ask Professor Górniak to answer that question, and also other panelists. On the basis of your experience, we have Joseph also from China and United States, and also Kathleen, so we can have a broad perspective on that.
Investment in research and investment in education don't bring the immediate feedback as you could expect. So it's not easy accounting. We should be patient, but we should invest. All the countries which are at the top of the economic development shown that investment in science, investment in education pays back. At the beginning, in the 90s, when the huge wave of educational aspirations started in Poland, so we increased by 5 times the number of students, everybody asked, what will happen, where these people will find employment. And for example, here in Krakow only, between 2010 and 2017, there is 60,000 persons, usually with higher education, working in the business process outsourcing, offshoring, shared services, IT, and such businesses. There are firms coming here with analytical services, with research and development. Why? Because they found here human capital. So it was not expected that in this city the world will be served in 40 languages. But first, these young people had to learn these 40 languages. So we cannot expect that in 5 years we'll produce people which will immediately give productive results which are hard measurable, but everything what we know from history, that eventually it pays back. So now what we have, for example, in Poland, we know, perhaps 10 years ago, we didn't dream that our 15 years old young people will achieve in mathematics, for example, in PISA test in mathematics, the results which are within standard error from the Finnish ones, so at the top of Europe. So, but this is behind the success of these businesses which are based on human capital. This is main resource of this country. So, and we have to invest it. And this is the reason why we have this reform of higher education, because we have to have better people, because it's the best asset we have, and we can offer the world.
Joseph?
Yes, I think we need to start at a much earlier stage to combine the education cycle with the business cycle, right? And you see schools like MIT with the MIT Media Lab really, helping their students really go to market with a lot of the technologies, and they have a lot of funding backing that as well. In China, you have like Tsinghua University has a thing called EXLhub, where they help their students with the whole entrepreneurship process. So really the universities themselves need to have these incubation type of programs, I would call it, or a similar type of entrepreneurial support programs to be able to capitalize on some of these innovations that are happening, right? And they shouldn't be seen as two separate things, right? The university and the business shouldn't be seen as two separate things. It should be seen as one. And the earlier you start that process, the better.
If I may, I think it can be beneficial to take a step back, and when you're actually thinking about starting a research project at a university or a government lab, to think about that end product. What kind of technology can you create that really addresses a need in the market? And it can also be beneficial to talk to relevant industry players to get their input on it, because you want to make sure that you're not just, conducting research to answer a question is great, but if you can end up with a product that then enhances the market, that's all the better. So if you can start that at the research planning stage, get industry input. In the US, oftentimes that industry input actually results in additional funding for the research project, which is great for the university, but it also creates a pipeline for that end product, for that technology. That industry partner can come and look at the technology and see if it fits with their business needs, the direction they're going, And if it does, then the university can negotiate a license agreement to bring profits back in when that company commercializes the technology. If the industry partner isn't interested, if they decide to pass on it, you still have a product that you can now assess to determine who else might be interested, what's unique about this, how does it fit into the market, and still try to market it to individual companies from there. And that's another way to bring profits back into the university or the research lab.
Yeah. I mean, one interesting project I was involved with recently was a startup competition in high school. 20 international high schools, over 100 participants, and this was in Beijing, okay? And so these high school students went through the exact same process of market research. A lot of the market research can be done online or through LinkedIn, or you have all of these tools that you can use to do market research and to teach them from a very young age the process of doing this, rather than going through university and waiting till you get there before you discover this process.
Minister Dardziński?
Zanim odniosę się do dyskusji, to chciałem jeszcze zrobić małe uzupełnienie dotyczące prezentacji, bo nie powiedziałem, kiedy te stypendia będą i rekrutacja będzie trwała do końca, znaczy po tym roku akademickim. Chcielibyśmy, żeby w przyszłym roku akademickim pojawili się już pierwsi doktoranci, no więc należy się szybko zainteresować. Rekrutacja do końca września, a do końca czerwca rekrutujemy uczelnie, które będą prowadzić te studia. No więc do końca czerwca szukajcie na stronach internetowych informacji na temat tego, gdzie można się o takie studia starać. Bardzo dziękuję też panu profesorowi za to, że przypomniał, że te doktoraty to są prawdziwe naukowe doktoraty. One mają tylko ten praktyczny wymiar. To jest coś, co jest też doskonałe pod względem naukowym. I tutaj dużo dyskutujemy i to jest fantastyczna w ogóle kwestia tego, czy my się zajmujemy czymś, co jest tylko super modne i chwilowe. Tak naprawdę my rzeczywiście budujemy te korzyści społeczne. Znaczy, jeśli nie przestawimy gospodarki polskiej i polskiej nauki na inny kształt działania, to być może wyspecjalizujemy się w kształceniu wysokiej kadry, która będzie potem pracowała w centrach outsourcingowym, ale to nie jest nasza perspektywa. To raczej my chcielibyśmy wykształcić firmy, które będą zakładały potem, będą korzystały z centrów outsourcingowych. Bo chcemy jak gdyby w tej wyścigu cywilizacyjnym jak gdyby się przesunąć. I to jest niemożliwe, mówiła o tym Kathleen, bez roli agencji rządowych, bez zachęcania, bez mobilizowania naukowców. I to jest też niemożliwe bez tego, znaczy ten krąg jest zamknięty, ale za edukację dzisiaj płaci państwo polskie. A duża część najzdolniejszych polskich uczniów, o których mówił też profesor Górniak, i studentów wyjeżdża za granicę. W tym sensie my kształcimy ludzi, którzy pracują potem w zupełnie innych miejscach. Inwestycja we współpracę i naukę jest więc inwestycją jak gdyby w korzyści przede wszystkim społeczne, nie tylko jak gdyby te czysto biznesowe. I ona oczywiście wymaga zaangażowania także edukacji w obszarze przedsiębiorczości, o czym była mowa, na wcześniejszych stadiach niż tylko szkoła wyższa, bo oczywiście MIT ma fantastyczne projekty. MIT ma centrum, które generuje rocznie 900 firm. Po prostu studenci zakładają swoje firmy. Chciałbym, żeby na którejś z polskich uczelni było takie centrum, które generuje, powiedzmy, niech będzie na początek 100. Dziękuję.
So I can add something that University of Nicolaus Copernicus that I'm from established 30 last year. So we are somewhere there. We are the one that developed the biggest amount of spin-offs at the university level. And of course the goal is for that companies that were established, for them to stay here in Poland and to cooperate with other entities. The most important thing is what Professor Górniak have said, human capital that we have in Poland, right? This is our gold mine. And that's why many of you are here, investors and big corporations that are willing to establish the R&D centers in Poland, because this is what we have here. Very young, talented people that were very well educated on different levels. And we are also reaching to the lower level of education with teaching, creative and innovative thinking. And again, I will refer to Nicolaus Copernicus University, who also developed his own high school, which was and is very often on the first and the second first and second on the list of best high schools in Poland, because these are the university teachers that are teaching there, and as I said, creative and innovative thinking. Yes?
Ponieważ widzę, że nam się czas kończy, to ja chciałem tylko uparcie, będę trochę jak ten taki stary profesor powtarzał, zapomniałem powiedzieć jeszcze jedną rzecz, że w strefie wsparcia znajdą Państwo 2 osoby, które odpowiedzą na wszystkie pytania dotyczące doktoratów wdrożeniowych.
Professor Górniak?
One final statement.
Yes.
I would like to remind you that many disruptive innovations based on the discoveries which have been done at the universities without any business intention, only from the pure curiosity of researchers. So we have to remind about it.
Dear panelists, thank you very much for this great panel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.